Three people have now died in Minnesota in a salmonella outbreak linked to cantaloupes.
In California, a mother bought pre-cut melon from Walmart. Within 24 hours, her child was in the hospital with listeria. No smell, no warning, just a bacterial time bomb in a plastic cup labeled fresh. And it's not a fluke. Across America, supermarkets are dressing up danger. Glossy apples, misted greens, and bargain berries that hide mold, bacteria, and worse. Because today's produce aisle isn't about safety. It's about speed, shelf life, and cutting corners. Up first, Walmart, where the fruit is cheap. And the risks are even cheaper. Walmart sells more produce than almost any other grocery chain in America. But behind those colorful stacks of fruit lies a dangerous truth. Some of it might send you to the ER. Let's start with contamination. In 2022, Walmart pulled its market-side organic zucchini after routine FDA testing flagged it for potential salmonella contamination. No illnesses were reported, but that doesn't mean the risk was minor. Salmonella thrives in moist, fresh produce, and all it takes is one slip in sanitation or storage for an outbreak to begin. These bacteria don't always come with a smell, a color, or any warning at all. You bite, you swallow, and the damage begins. And it doesn't stop there. Multiple customers have posted videos and photos of live pests crawling in their fruit, from living bugs buzzing around strawberries to full-on grubs hiding in bananas. One woman peeled back a banana from Walmart and found a live worm writhing underneath the peel. That's not bad luck. That's what happens when volume outpaces quality control. Walmart's produce moves through one of the largest supply chains in the world, a complex system of global farms, third-party warehouses, cold trucks, and distribution centers. But fruit is fragile. Every temperature dip, every delay, is an invitation for bacteria and mold. That's why you might grab a flawless-looking pack of strawberries only to find them fuzzy, sour, or slimy by the next morning. Not a coincidence. That's failed refrigeration. And even if it looks fresh, how much do you trust the label? Walmart sells a lot of organic fruit, often cheaper than competitors. But much of it comes from international farms in countries like Mexico or Turkey, certified by third-party agencies with minimal U.S. oversight. Translation? You could be buying fruit grown with banned pesticides under the comforting green USDA seal, and no one's checking closely enough to catch it. Then there's the human side of the problem. Walmart's produce sections are often managed by underpaid, undertrained staff in high-turnover environments. These are not dedicated produce experts. They're overworked generalists trying to keep up with constant restocks and cleanup. In that rush, expired fruit gets missed, misters stay dirty, and storage temperatures go unlogged. So yes, Walmart fruit is cheap, but what's the real cost? A week's worth of groceries gone bad, a child with food poisoning, a bug in your salad, or worse, the false sense of safety you felt when you picked it up. Coming up next, a grocery store that makes produce look flawless, because appearances are everything. Whole Foods markets itself as the gold standard for clean, ethical, and healthy eating. Rows of glistening apples, picture-perfect berries, and artisanal labels give off serious farmers market vibes. But peel back the branding, and what you'll find might not feel so wholesome. Let's start with the biggest illusion. Organic doesn't mean perfect. In fact, several investigations have found that some of Whole Foods' organic imports, especially fruits like strawberries, grapes, and citrus, are sourced from suppliers with questionable practices overseas. In some cases, countries like Mexico and Turkey ship organic produce that doesn't meet U.S. standards for pesticide use, but still lands on shelves under that comforting green USDA sticker. Why? Because the USDA relies on third-party certifiers, some of whom are paid by the same farms they inspect. It's a setup that practically invites conflict of interest. But the problem doesn't stop at sourcing. Whole Foods' focus on aesthetic perfection means they often reject local or smaller farm produce that doesn't look good enough, even if it's safer, fresher, or more ethical. Instead, fruits are shipped from far-flung places, often taking days or weeks before reaching your cart. That means more wax coatings, antifungal treatments, and refrigeration cycles that can degrade nutritional value while giving the illusion of freshness. And then there's the mold problem. Across Reddit and food forums, both customers and former employees have shared stories of opening clamshells of strawberries or blueberries from Whole Foods only to find moldy, mushy, or already rotting fruit, sometimes the same day they bought it. That's not just bad luck. It's often the result of extended travel times and improper cold chain handling. And in some cases, it's not caught until you bite in. Even worse, Whole Foods has a known issue with produce misting systems that make fruits and vegetables appear fresher than they actually are. Apples glisten. kale perks up. But that mist? It can also help bacteria thrive, especially if the produce isn't regularly rotated or sanitized. And finally, price doesn't always equal safety. Just because you're paying $2.99 for a single hand-picked organic red mango doesn't mean they were harvested with better hygiene. Farm workers on some premium farms still report a lack of bathroom access, inadequate hand-washing stations, and rushed harvesting to meet quotas. In the end, Whole Foods sells a lifestyle. But when the illusion is all about optics, not safety, the fruit in your reusable tote bag might carry more risk than reward. Up next, a store where the problem isn't luxury, it's transparency. Trader Joe's has built its reputation on quirky branding, cheerful Hawaiian shirts, and curated shelves that feel more like a boutique than a supermarket. Their fruit displays? Always tidy, always photogenic. But behind that Instagrammable produce section lies a set of problems that don't always make the cut for a store that markets itself on trust and taste. Let's start with the obvious: packaging. Trader Joe's overwraps a huge portion of its fruit in plastic. Grapes in clamshells, apples in sealed bags, mangoes on styrofoam trays. While this makes everything look cleaner, it also hides damage. Bruising, molding, or early spoilage can be sealed inside where it festers unnoticed, until you open it at home and get hit with a sour whiff or sticky mush. This is especially true with fruits like figs, stone fruits, and berries, which need airflow to stay fresh. Instead, they're suffocating in shrink wrap. The plastic also traps moisture, accelerating mold growth from the inside. That pack of strawberries might have looked perfect in-store, but by the next morning, a damp disaster. And then there's shelf life. Trader Joe's sources much of its produce through third-party suppliers and private label deals, meaning it often arrives at the store already several days old. Combine that with lower in-store stock turnover, especially for slower-selling seasonal fruits, and you've got a higher risk of spoilage. But the biggest issue? Transparency. Trader Joe's is notoriously vague about sourcing. Unlike competitors that list country of origin or farm locations clearly, Trader Joe's often leaves customers guessing. One week, your berries are from California. The next, Mexico, Chile, or Peru, without clear labeling to inform your choices. This lack of transparency extends to organics too. While the USDA organic label appears on many of their products, customers rarely know which certifier signed off on it or how recent the inspection was. That's important when organics are priced at a premium and when pesticides, soil treatments, or synthetic waxes may still be present on imports. Speaking of wax, Trader Joe's uses produce wax on many of its apples, cucumbers, and citrus fruits to improve shelf shine and prevent dehydration. But the ingredients in these waxes aren't always listed on packaging. Some are plant-based, while others include shellac, dairy derivatives, or petroleum-based substances. Not a big deal for most, but for people with allergies or dietary restrictions, this hidden layer could be a real problem. And let's not forget their infamous banana policy. Trader Joe's only sells loose bananas, no pre-packed bags. On the surface, that sounds more sustainable, but it also means there's no buffer against bruising from transport or handling. The result? Banana bins with more brown spots than green stems, making it hard to find fruit that'll last past the next day. So while the store might feel clean and curated, its fruit section still suffers from deeper issues: hidden mold, unclear sourcing, limited shelf life, and misleading appearances. Because at Trader Joe's, the packaging may be charming, but what's underneath? Not always. Next, a retailer that dominates suburban America, where the fruit problems start before it even gets to the shelf. Kroger is one of the biggest grocery chains in the U.S., and with that size comes scale. More stores, more suppliers, more produce moving through warehouses and onto shelves. But behind all that volume, serious cracks in quality control. Let's start with Kroger's freshness promise. It sounds great on paper: fruits and veggies that are carefully selected, regularly rotated, and satisfaction guaranteed. But the reality? That promise often wilts faster than a head of unrefrigerated lettuce. Multiple shopper reports and local news investigations have flagged Kroger locations for selling moldy berries, bruised citrus, and rotting bagged apples, all sitting on shelves well past their prime. And while employees may be trained to zone the produce, tidy it up for appearances, that doesn't always mean inspecting for rot. This is especially dangerous with high-risk fruits like strawberries and grapes. These spoil fast, and mold spreads silently. You might pick up a clamshell that looks fine from the top, only to find the bottom layer is already turning white and fuzzy. Why does this happen so often? Part of the problem is logistics. Kroger's distribution network involves multiple regional warehouses. with produce sometimes sitting in transfer facilities or on trucks longer than intended. That peach you grabbed in-store might have been picked 2 weeks ago and stored in varying temperatures the entire time. And then there's repackaging. Many fruits at Kroger, like apples, nectarines, and citrus, are shipped in bulk and bagged in-store using private label packaging. But during this process, damaged or old fruit sometimes gets mixed with fresher stock. It's a visual trap. The bag looks full and colorful, but one soft or moldy fruit can spoil the whole batch. Kroger's organic selection also deserves a closer look. While they do offer a decent variety, some items labeled organic have been found placed side by side or even mixed with conventional ones. Kroger's produce quality issues have been widely reported by customers online. Many note that berries, especially strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries, already show mold when opened or spoil within just a few days. And finally, there's the temperature issue. In-store fruit displays, especially for berries, grapes, and cut fruit, are often placed in open refrigeration units that fluctuate in temperature throughout the day, or even unrefrigerated. 1 minute they're cool, the next they're sweating in ambient air. That cycle accelerates spoilage and increases the risk of bacteria growth. So while Kroger may dominate in numbers and reach, its produce section tells a different story. One of overlooked mold, mislabeled organics, hidden shrinkage, and fruits that look fresher than they actually are. Coming up next, a chain known for its bargain prices until you bite into the fruit and realize some savings come at a cost. Aldi is known for 2 things: no-frills prices and efficiency. You bag your own groceries, return your own carts, and pay less at checkout. But when it comes to fruit, that low price tag might be masking high risk. Let's start with shelf life. Aldi fruit is infamous online for going bad fast. Shoppers across Reddit and YouTube have posted videos of moldy strawberries, rotting nectarines, and grapes that smell like vinegar just a day or 2 after purchase. It's not just random complaints either. Why is this happening? Aldi's supply chain is ultra streamlined to cut costs, but that also means produce often travels farther or sits longer before hitting the shelves. In many stores, fruit is prepackaged in bulk and kept sealed to reduce labor, but that also traps moisture and speeds up spoilage. And with fewer employees per store, there's less time to check each shipment thoroughly. Thus, several Aldi locations have been hit with low ratings in local health inspections for improper produce storage and outdated rotation practices. Here's the kicker. Aldi rarely posts best buy dates on loose fruit or clamshell packages. So if you grab a box of tomatoes and they turn mushy the next morning, good luck proving they were already halfway spoiled. That means spoiled produce quietly ends up in the trash at home, not back on record. Aldi has been repeatedly flagged for selling fruit contaminated with harmful bacteria like Listeria, monocytogenes, and E. coli. In 2023, the FDA announced a recall of Aldi-branded cantaloupes sold in multiple U.S. states due to Listeria contamination traced back to supplier Sophia Produce, operating under the name True Fresh. The recall included whole cantaloupes and pre-cut fruit products distributed to Aldi stores across more than 10 states. So while Aldi's fruit might be cheaper, the hidden costs come in the form of spoilage, waste, and uncertainty. After this, we'll expose a store that built its reputation on local produce, but its practices aren't always so homegrown. Sprouts markets itself as the go-to destination for fresh, local produce. Walk through their aisles, and you'll see signs touting farm fresh, organic, and locally sourced. But behind the sunny branding, there's a pattern of questionable practices that don't quite match the marketing. Let's talk about transparency and quality control. Sprouts has faced ongoing criticism for vague sourcing practices and inconsistent produce labeling. While there's no public record of formal investigations so far confirming mislabeling, consumer watchdogs and former employees have raised concerns. In particular, some shoppers have reported seeing produce labeled as California grown, later identified as imports from countries like Mexico or Chile, highlighting the lack of consistent country of origin disclosure on certain items. For a store that markets itself around purity and origin, that ambiguity matters. Then there's the cleanliness issue. Health inspection records in multiple U.S. states, including Arizona, Texas, and California, have cited Sprouts locations for violations involving produce displays. These include observations of fruit stored in open bins on the floor, improper cooling systems, and cross-contamination from leaking bags. In one routine inspection at Sprouts Farmers Market in San Jose, health inspectors reported flies in both the prep and warehouse areas, raising concerns about sanitation near fresh produce, even if classified as a minor violation. The root of the problem? Sprouts markets itself with a local farm stand vibe, but operates with the volume and complexity of a national chain. Unlike true farmers markets, where vendors check every item by hand, Sprouts relies on high-speed distribution centers and a just-in-time inventory model. That means fruit is sometimes shipped cross-country or internationally, spending days in unrefrigerated transit before hitting the shelves, arriving overripe, bruised, or already spoiling. Several Sprouts shoppers on Reddit have flagged consistent issues around their produce. One user shared, "I was looking at cherry tomatoes. A bunch of them had mold," while another pointed out pests often accompany the produce section here. Flies and stuff all over their produce. Mold and stuff. Taken together, these experiences paint a picture of potential quality control gaps at Sprouts Farmers Market when it comes to fresh fruit and vegetables. So while Sprouts may sell the image of small batch farm fresh integrity, its operations tell a different story. When premium prices meet industrial oversight gaps, what customers often get isn't wholesome, it's just repackaged supermarket produce wearing a rustic disguise. Up next, a chain where freshness is automated and the reality of fruit safety is anything but high-tech, Amazon Fresh. This chain entered the grocery space promising a high-tech revolution, cashierless stores, real-time inventory, and lightning-fast logistics. But when it comes to fruit, the system built for speed might be skipping a few too many steps. Let's start with the core problem. Automation can't feel a bruise. In traditional grocery stores, produce managers physically inspect fruit shipments, checking for ripeness, soft spots, mold, or damage. At Amazon Fresh, much of that responsibility falls to digital stock management systems and fulfillment staff working against the clock. Items are scanned, logged, and shelved quickly, but not always thoroughly checked. That's how you end up with black-spotted bananas, leaky berry containers, or avocados that feel like bricks one day and mush the next. And if you've ever ordered fruit from Amazon Fresh for home delivery, you've likely experienced this firsthand. Online forums are full of complaints from customers receiving underripe melons, rotting grapes, or fruit trays packed with moldy slices. Many mention packaging that traps excess moisture, creating the perfect conditions for mold and bacteria to grow before the delivery even reaches their doorstep. So, what's happening? Amazon prioritizes speed, not scrutiny. Their fruit moves through fulfillment centers, not produce departments. There are no dedicated staff rotating pears for ripeness or inspecting strawberries for moisture damage. In many warehouses, the same team picking electronics might be picking your oranges, with little training on food safety or spoilage detection. Then there's temperature control. Investigations suggest that some Amazon Fresh facilities have struggled to maintain consistent cold chain standards. With lagging inspections and reports of spoiled food sitting in storage, it's likely that perishable items, like fruit, can experience multiple temperature swings between warehouse, transit, and delivery. That instability raises the risk of spoilage and bacterial growth, especially during warmer months. And because the packaging is sealed and opaque, you won't know there's a problem until you open the bag. Even store locations aren't immune. Inspections at Amazon Fresh physical stores have revealed improperly stored berries, overripe citrus displayed for sale, and inconsistent rotation of bagged produce. The sleek high-tech shelves may feel futuristic, but the produce problems are all too familiar. So yes, Amazon Fresh may save you time, but when it comes to fruit, convenience can cost you freshness. And the promise of innovation doesn't mean much if what you're biting into is moldy. So now you know the truth, but knowing what not to buy is only half the battle. Let's talk about how to actually win in the produce aisle without playing supermarket roulette. First, stop letting shine fool you. That glossy apple might just be dipped in wax to hide bruises or aging skin. Instead, look for natural textures. Real fruit doesn't always sparkle. A matte apple, a slightly dull orange, a berry that's not picture perfect might be your safest bet. Next, pick it up, feel the weight. Fruit that's heavier than it looks usually means it's full of juice and not dried out from long-haul shipping. If it feels hollow, light, or weirdly soft, put it back. And don't just look at the top of the package, flip it, especially with berries and grapes. Mold starts at the bottom. If you see any moisture pooling, discoloration, or that fuzzy white stuff, walk away. Smell matters too. A ripe peach should smell like a peach. A ripe melon should give off that sweet floral scent. If there's no smell at all, it might have been picked too early or treated with gas to force ripening. Both kill flavor and nutrition. Stick to in-season produce when you can. Strawberries in December? That's a red flag. Out-of-season fruit usually travels farther, gets treated more, and loses quality on the way. Seasonal means closer, fresher, and often safer. Another trick? Go for the ugly ones, especially at farmers markets or local co-ops. Supermarkets toss out weird-shaped fruit even if it's perfectly safe. But those misfits? They're often fresher because they weren't selected for looks. They were selected to sell fast. Be careful with pre-cut fruit. It's convenient, yeah, but the moment fruit is sliced, it's exposed. Bacteria loves that. Unless it's ice cold and tightly sealed with a clear date, skip the plastic tubs and do the slicing yourself. And last, don't assume organic means invincible. Always rinse your fruit. Even certified organics can carry bacteria, dirt, or wax. A simple vinegar rinse or fruit wash at home takes seconds and might save you days of regret. Bottom line, the freshest fruit usually isn't the prettiest. It's the one that survived with the least amount of interference. Trust your senses. Trust your instincts. And never trust the mist. Unfortunately, most shoppers assume bright lights and farm fresh signs mean safety. But when it comes to fruit, the real threat isn't what you see, it's what you don't. Behind those vibrant displays, there's often a race to the bottom. Fewer inspections, rushed supply chains, and produce handled more like cargo than food. From unwashed bins to warm trucks to shady sourcing, what looks healthy on the outside might be hiding bruises, bacteria, or worse. And the scariest part? The illusion of control, that you can shop smart just by picking what looks right. But freshness isn't just about color or shine. It's about systems, standards, and accountability. And when those fail, even a simple apple can become a health risk. So, the next time you reach for that clamshell of strawberries or a perfect peach, ask yourself, does this feel like food that's been cared for, or just processed and pushed? If this made you think twice, hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in with Empire Uncut. Because behind every barcode, there's a story no brand wants you to hear, and we're here to tell it. Don't miss the next video, because what's coming might change how you shop forever.